Russia has invaded Ukraine. Vladimir Putin has declared a special military operation, saying he aims to denazify Ukraine and protect Russia. And he has all but threatened nuclear escalation against the West if it tries to interfere. The Economist correspondent Richard Ensor is in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev.
Overnight, everything's changed. We went to bed. Ukraine was a country with one kind of future, and we've woken up to a completely different reality. It really is a new beginning for Ukraine, for Europe, and for the world. People have been hearing that in 2 days' time, in 2 weeks' time, in the coming days, Russia will invade. And like a boy who cries wolf, these reports have sometimes instilled in Ukrainians a bit of hardened skepticism. So when there were reports last night that yet again a Russian invasion may be imminent, some people took them completely seriously and stayed up all night checking the news, preparing their bags, and other people went straight to bed and got a really big shock when they woke up. I woke up early this morning and I heard immediately through my window these very loud sirens, which suggest that in Kiev, in the capital of Ukraine, there was about to be an air raid. So of course I grabbed my bag and I run down to the street, and you could see that on the streets the mood was an immediate shift from what it had been the day before. People were very grim. We heard a police car coming by and they told us that we needed to run to the nearest metro station. And we didn't know if this was an impending missile raid or just general advice. It was very hard to know. So of course we grabbed our bag and we started to run. And underneath in the metro you saw families huddling, people not knowing what was going on, checking their phones, babies in prams, people with suitcases and plastic bags full of belongings, sitting around waiting to know what to do. And incredibly, at the same time, you saw people going past, getting on the metro, going to work like it's a completely normal day. I've never seen anything like it before. But you also had people starting to stock up on supplies, probably to stay in Kiev for a very long time in case things become a bit more chaotic. People filling up their tanks of gas so that they can leave, people buying medication from pharmacies. And this is a city that is suddenly on a war footing. People are either running away to leave. I can tell you that I saw the road out west leaving the city towards Lviv and the Polish border. And from the very crack of dawn, that has been backed up for hours and kilometers, and it's going to be very hard for people to leave in that way. Airspace is being closed. It's for people who want to leave, it's very tough. But of course, a lot of people want to stay because they love Ukraine, it's their home, and they think it's worth fighting for. A lot of people are going to be picking up guns. The president has said that anyone who wants a gun to defend their country can get one. In Kiev, a sense of order prevails right now. There are no vigilantes on the streets. There are armed service members, people from the National Guard on the streets. A lot of them are checking into military bases today to get ready for deployment. Ukraine is prepared for war because Ukraine for 8 years has been at war. It has felt to Ukrainians like they've been fighting a war for 8 years. Are they prepared for the kind of war that's about to break out on a different scale against a different kind of enemy with different kinds of motives? That's a tremendous question, and we're going to see whether they are in the days that unfold. But certainly the morale and the sense of really there being something to fight for is pervasive and very strongly felt among ordinary Ukrainians right now. The Western response is still unfolding. This is going to be something that takes several hours and days and weeks. We're probably expecting a very large package of sanctions to be announced from the West. Ukrainians want to feel like they don't have to fight this battle alone, and they want to see a very strong response from the European Union, from the United States, from the rest of the West in terms of sanctions against this Russian regime that was already a horrible place but is now exporting chaos well beyond its borders and towards Europe. They want to receive additional help in terms of military aid. They would love that to keep flowing. And they want to feel like they live in a world where these kinds of acts perpetrated against them are not committed with impunity. They want to feel like there is a sense of justice in the world, and that Vladimir Putin and his regime is going to get what's coming to it. The sad truth of this is, if you look at where the Russian military is right now, if you look at where the Russian military is going, and you look at Ukrainian citizens and where they live and who they live next to, all of that adds up to a massive refugee crisis in Poland, in the rest of the EU, for the wider world. You are already seeing people trying to get to the borders of Moldova, Poland, trying to get through. It's not entirely clear how those countries are going to manage with that initial influx once it really gets going, whether they keep this door to safety open or whether they slam it shut. That debate is coming to Europe right now. Ukraine is a country that considers itself European. They have EU visa-free travel. They can hop on a plane and take a coffee in any European city they like to under normal circumstances. But these are not normal circumstances, and the question of how to manage that is going to be one of the dominant topics of discussion in the weeks to come. For those out there asking how this is going to end, it's a great question because all of the answers are so unthinkable that you don't want to speak them into existence. We're talking about a massive refugee crisis, thousands upon thousands of dead civilians and soldiers, cities being rendered unrecognizable in a matter of days and weeks. If this war is not called off somehow, and if the Russian plans for regime change in Kiev come to pass, with such a strong military force and such superior air power for that kind of war, I mean, how that ends, and with the Ukrainian willingness to fight, it adds up to a long, bloody, protracted battle with a death toll that Europe thought it would never need to see again. If you'd like to know more about the unfolding war in Ukraine, please click on the link. It will take you to our hub with all the latest news, developments, information, and analysis. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.